The recent cancellation of the EA SPORTS WRC rally game and the pausing of rally game development at the Southam-based Codemasters studio is significant in its own right. But the jettisoning of the team, some redundant, others placed elsewhere, effectively marks the end of a specialist and revered company that made some of our all-time favourite fun rally video games. And that is a pity. Codemasters was founded in 1986 by brothers Richard and David Darling, although not explicitly to create racing games. The British outfit had completed titles covering several genres, including LMA Manager, Brian Lara Cricket, Operation Flashpoint and MTV Music Generator, to name but a few. Initially run out of an industrial unit in Banbury, it soon moved to the current Southam location, next to the Darling Brothers farm, the story being that the original building was effectively one of the old barns. It's this location that was still used, until last week at least, to create some form of racing video game over nearly 4 decades. This marked the start of halcyon days, and a far cry from now under the stewardship of EA, more on that later, which included launching its first game, BMX Simulator, in 1986, and its first rally game in 1991, Paris to Dakar Rally on the ZX Spectrum. We'll get into the deep history of Codemasters another time, and for now, fast forward another 7 years to its most influential titles. But before we get to that, I want to hear from you. What is your favourite Codemasters rally game? Let me know in the comments down below, because there are so many amazing options to choose from. And whilst you're down there, do consider subscribing to this Traxion channel so that you don't miss any of our future videos on rally games or any kind of racing games. While Codemasters made popular racing games such as Grid and the F1 games, it is rally-based titles, starting with McRae, that have a direct lineage to the current job losses. In total, there were 14 games in the Codemasters rally game series, starting as Colin McRae Rally, then morphing into the Dirt games, and ending with EA SPORTS WRC. All but one, Dirt 5, were made inside the hallowed turf of the aforementioned Southam base, including the WRC title. That's why we must first look at the back catalogue to truly understand what has been lost following the recent unceremonious culling. 1998's Colin McRae Rally pushed the rally genre into the future thanks to its clean presentation, weighty handling and popular cover star, the real-world 1995 WRC champion. It also had a lighter side, boasting the kind of wacky cheat codes that made gaming fun. And that's what Codies do, make games fun. Speaking of which, the sequel, Colin McRae Rally 2.0, has a special place in my heart. The stage design was incredible, the variety at the time was great to see. There were even detailed interior cockpits, like you can see on the Ford Focus here. The handling was kind of similarly twitchy to the early Toka touring car games, but rewarding. There was detailed car setups, there was changeable weather, an advanced damage model for its time, and even the AI still race well to this day. You can have properly competitive rallying. And it's just fun. Not to mention Nicky Grist on the pace notes, the sound of the car, the overrun, and also the fact that I've not played this game in about 20 years and I still feel like I remember what corners are coming next. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the effect this game had on me. Next, switching to the PS2 era, witnessed 3 games in the series, Colin McRae Rally 3, 04 and 2005, and despite vehicle handling that has aged worse than an old Nokia, the McRae games stood firm at the vanguard of rally gaming. One pivotal feature was an expansive single-player career structure. In the third, you could unlock a tuned transit van, and by the 2005 edition, aside from a few starter cars and locations, the diverse career would be your means to earn the rest. There was a true sense of progression, stitching together disparate content into one cohesive experience, something that would ring true of the later games when the McRae name was de-emphasised and the Dirt moniker was born. For many, we ran a poll on the Traxion website recently, Colin McRae Dirt 2 is the most beloved from the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation. It prominently featured bright colours, a loud soundtrack, and, here we go again, a sense of unadulterated fun, a core Codemasters virtue for decades. Its sequel ditched McRae's name from the title entirely, a first for the series, and leaned further into the Ken Block vibe, with an open Battersea compound gymkhana area and outlandish multiplayer modes. It was at this point that Codemasters split the series into 2, silly and serious. Dirt Showdown was non-stop carnage, Dirt 4 tried procedurally generated stages, and Dirt 5 turned up the vibrancy to max levels. Meanwhile, serious rally simulation fans were treated to Dirt Rally. The latter was the brainchild of game director Paul Coleman, and although it was worked on by a relatively small but passionate team, it was a critical hit for the studio. A 2019 sequel, Dirt Rally 2.0, improved the formula further and is still considered by many to be the ultimate rally game by Codemasters, even ahead of EA SPORTS WRC. And that leads us to the official WRC license arriving at Codemasters for the first time. If you're in the market for some new sim racing hardware, then we might have something of interest for you. You can now get a 5% discount on all Asetek Sim Sport products, whether that's a wheelbase, a steering wheel, pedals, or any other accessories and customization options. Doing this is a win-win because you guys get cheaper hardware and obviously it helps support our channel as well. So if you want to get involved, check out the link in the description down below and use the code TraxionGG before you check out to get that 5% discount. Back to the video. Critically, the deal for the Southam Rally Game specialists to make an official game of the World Rally Championship came in 2020, before Electronic Arts purchased the entire company. It was said at the time that the deal would last for 5 years, starting in 2023. We now know that a different developer will be handling WRC games from now on, and this Codemasters deal will not be continued to the conclusion. Behind the scenes, we understand that a Dirt Rally 3.0 game was actually in the works, alongside a then separate WRC project. The former was planned to be a simulation, the latter a more accessible game, similar to the F1 games, which, to be clear, are by Codemasters, but in a separate, dedicated spin-off studio in Birmingham that was founded in 2008. However, in 2021, EA purchased all of Codemasters for an eye-watering $1.2 billion, and while the official line was that the team was making a general rally game and at some point decided to call it WRC, we believe a decision was made to merge the Dirt Rally 3.0 and WRC projects. This crossbreed was released as EA Sports WRC in November 2023. We are even led to believe that the final WRC game was initially called EA Sports WRC 23, the year possibly indicating grander initial plans to be an annual sports franchise like EA Sports FC or Madden. Ultimately, the Traxion team enjoyed EA Sports WRC, as evidenced by several of our prior videos and articles, but we were always concerned about some underlying graphical and performance issues which blighted the title, and while improved upon post-launch, were never truly remedied. When the most recent DLC pack, Hard Chargers, was released earlier this year, we expressed our concern that this could be the end. With the game's future totally uncertain from this day forward, could this be its final encore? That, sadly, turned out to be fairly prophetic. For more thoughts on this subject from the Traxion team, you can also check out the latest episode of the Traxion Control podcast. There is a link to that down in the description below. On the 30th of April 2025, via a blog post on the game's website, it was confirmed that there will be no further new content or a sequel for EA Sports WRC. After releasing EA Sports WRC in 2023, the 2024 season, including the recently released Hard Chargers content pack, will be our last expansion. The statement then went on to say that, for now, we are pausing development plans on future rally titles, before touching on the Codemasters Southam team's rally game history, which is particularly poignant as when approached by EA the next day for comment, specifically about the WRC team, it confirmed a mix of job losses or moving to different projects. As a business, we are constantly evolving to meet the growing needs of our players and driving greater focus across our portfolio. This has led us to look at reducing some roles, while we redeploy as many as possible against our strategic priorities, including our EA Sports F1 franchise. For all intents and purposes, there is no longer a Codemasters racing or rally game team at the historic Southam location. The original office space is still used, people are still employed there, but we believe mostly for other projects such as EA Sports FC. Rather unironically, EA's careers page for the location reads, "Heritage has a deep foundation at Codemasters." Well, that's a gut punch. As for Codemasters, we think there's effectively just the F1 team in Birmingham left of the company that EA fought Take-Two Interactive so hard to buy just 4 years earlier. While we're looking forward to this month's latest installment, F1 25, we can't help but notice that some of the more prosaic features added to the series have been under EA's tenure. Think F1 22's added branded clothing, unlockable sofas and road-going supercars, or F1 23's F1 World Live Service game mode, or even F1 24's strange vehicle handling. As it stands, for its $1.2 billion purchase, EA has boiled Codemasters down to some extra team members working on non-racing titles, one remaining studio, and the rights to make an official F1 game. a deal that is believed to end this year anyway and is up for renewal. Still, this behaviour is perhaps indicative of a publicly listed company where the stock markets traditionally react positively to an entity that is seen to react quickly and cull where necessary to move forward. It isn't unusual for the Redwood-based gaming giant to cancel projects, close teams, or put games out to pasture soon after launch. EA has also either shut down or subsumed Black Box Games, Maxis, Visceral Games, Pandemic Studios, and Bullfrog Productions over the years, with Codemasters staff levels initially reduced in 2023. Just days ago, it announced hundreds of layoffs at Respawn Entertainment, who make the Titanfall series, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Apex Legends, allegedly squashing an in-development game for good. Perhaps it's no coincidence that the Codemasters and Respawn cuts came days before its Q1 2025 earnings call. In a now infamous quote secured by Kotaku, a former Visceral Games employee described EA's attitude to Project Ragtag, a game set in the Star Wars universe. EA executives are like, FIFA Ultimate Team makes $1 billion a year, where's your version of that? Which rather sums things up. EA's games have come under fire in recent years thanks to the proliferation of microtransactions, with FIFA, now known as EA SPORTS FC, and its Ultimate Team mode being a leading proponent. But moving all in on this negates diversification, so if or when this business model fails in future, it could leave EA in a tricky spot. That's not to say that there aren't great people working diligently at the corporation, and we don't have access to exact sales, revenue, and profit figures for recent Codemasters produced racing games. It's easy to forget, through all the fandom, that video games are ultimately a business. And could Codemasters have survived without EA in the first place anyway? That's debatable. Back in the mid-2010s, it was on the ropes, struggling to move its F1 series from the PS3 and 360 consoles to PS4 and Xbox One. It looked to the talismanic Frank Sagnier to turn it around. There's no doubt he made some contentious and difficult decisions. We weren't fans of the 2019 Grid reboot or some DLC strategies, but turn it around he did, building the company up to the momentous EA purchase, including a public listing and purchase of Slightly Mad Studios. Codemasters was undoubtedly in a better position than when he took it on, but it was also relying on the repurposing of aging content, see Grid Legends, to make do, and Dirt 5 sales notably underperformed. Naturally, a business needs to make a profit to survive, and cutting back on underperforming projects is not unexpected. In this case, we have to sympathise with EA, as it made a net loss of $1.1 billion in the last financial year. Wait, no, did I say loss? Sorry, I meant it made 1.1 billion profit. My bad. And that's off a net revenue of 7.46 billion. I really do hope it can afford its electricity bill with those margins. The insatiable hunt for not millions but billions has seen yet another project squandered, only this time it has taken what made Colin McRae and Dirt Rally so good with it. If the next F1 games don't see a notable increase in quality and that F1 renewal isn't signed, then Codemasters could vanish for good.